Well, hi there. So, slightly different format for today. It's too windy outside for me to record. Um, so, what I want to start with is a little story, and perhaps I'll make this a story about you, because what I want to do is help you get yourself in the picture and be sort of emotionally invested, because I think that will help you understand what I'm wanting to talk about a little bit better. If it's just numbers or a sort of like some other person, I think you may not get the point. So go with me if you will. Also, I think it's the example may seem a little extreme, but again, what I like to do when I'm unpacking things is use the extreme examples, like take a concept to its logical end, because I think that will make that often makes the things at work, the principles at work, the clearest and the sort of most easily understood. And also, just often things will get carried to their logical end anyway, is what I find in this world, in this life. So things that may seem extreme are they're just a matter of time away. Um, so, um, so story is you have a son or daughter who a young son or daughter who sadly is was born with cystic fibrosis, and at the age of say 5 or 6, they become very very sick, and maybe a local newspaper or TV station sort of picks up on that, and there's an interview, and so there are a bunch of people that are aware of your son or daughter's plight, but sadly nothing could be done. And one of the last things that this child does is draws a picture of you and your spouse, and saying I love you, mum and dad. And then after giving that to you, the that night or the next day, the child dies. So it's a very very sad story, but basically, the thing that you're left with is this picture that the child drew for you as one of the very last things that they did, expressing their love for you. And so that's a very precious thing to you. And there's a follow up interview, or anyway, that picture and your child's plight and eventual death becomes sort of enters the news cycle, as it were, so people are aware of it. So at some point, that story, it gets some steam. A lot of people hear about it, and so someone comes to you and they offer you, $1 million for the picture that your child drew for you. But it's like it's on the wall in your bedroom, and you look at it every morning and every night before you go to sleep, and just because you want to remember the time that you had with your child. And so it's like, no, it's not, no, that's it's not for sale. Um, so so the wealth tax. So someone's offered you $1 million for that picture, but you've said no because it's priceless. The IRS hears about that, and so they say, okay, you own an asset that is worth $1 million. That being the picture, because that's what someone's willing to pay for it. That's how things are valued. What someone's willing to pay. So a wealth tax is instituted. So now that is part of your wealth. You have $1 million in wealth apart from whatever else you have. And let's say, for the sake of the argument, you have a sort of simple job and a modest income. You're not super affluent in any other way. You just kind of making ends meet. So the IRS says, well, there's wealth tax on $1 million. That's only 1%. I mean, that's not much. So at the end of the year, IRS says, well, 1% of $1 million is $10,000. So you owe us $10,000 for that $1 million picture that you own. So therein is the issue of the wealth tax. You may own a thing, and if someone else values that thing at whatever, then that becomes the value of the thing. And now it may not be something you want to sell. Obviously, in this case, it's something you don't want to sell. But that then becomes part of your wealth, and that then can be taxed. So therein lies a a fundamental issue that I have with the wealth tax is exemplified by that. Think about that. Do you think that you should be taxed on $10,000 a year on the on the picture that your daughter drew for you? So let's move another year ahead, and so someone else, maybe the same person comes back to you, or someone else comes to you, having seen that picture on TV, and they want to put it in a museum or part of a display, and they say, look, no, we really want it. We'll offer you $2 million for that picture. And still you say, no, look, it's too important to me. So again, the IRS hears about that. So they're saying, oh wow, that asset has now increased in value from $1 million to $2 million. And here's where the unrealized capital gains comes in. So you own a thing that is increased in value. So if unrealized gains are taxed, you are now facing a income of $1 million that year, because you own a thing that was worth $1 million, and at the end of the year is worth $2 million. So that's you've gained in wealth by $1 million. I guess that's income. So the IRS now says, well, okay, so the wealth tax on $2 million is $20,000 a year at 1%, and the tax on gains is like 10%. So that's $100,000 that you owe. $100,000 in unrealized gains, and another $20,000 in wealth. So that year, in order to hold on to the picture that your daughter drew for you, you owe the IRS $120,000. So I guess this channel is about getting people to think. So maybe I won't tell you if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe think about that for yourself. But I think it's pretty obvious where it's pretty obvious what I think about that. And so you may think, yeah, but that's just a ridiculous example. That would never happen. And to that, I would say two things. First thing is, just from my experience of life and things that I've read, is ridiculous things like that happen, almost every day. You come up with a law that functions like that, there are definitely, there may be people whose plight, in that sort of situation, whose plight, becomes, is made aware of, or is brought to people's attention, to say, and an accommodation is made. But for every person for whom an accommodation is made, there are probably like 10 people who are not, and they're toast. So that's my experience, is that these ridiculous situations like this, they always happen. They always happen eventually. But then a similar thing is, and this is kind of reality, is if instead of it being a picture that your daughter drew for you, it's a company that you've built that does things, that makes something, and you've sold shares. So maybe it's publicly traded, or maybe it's just privately traded, but it's a company that you have built. You're not maybe you're not taking much income out of it. You're still in the building phase, so it's paying for your employees and what have you, but you're not pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars out for yourself. But if that company is valued highly by investors, then that is the exact situation that you would fall into. And I guess the example that that has come up recently would be Elon Musk with I think with Tesla and SpaceX. My understanding with him is he, he's the wealthiest man in the world, but that's not because he has a bank account with, piles and piles of money in it. My understanding is he started a pair of companies, or a few companies that are highly valued as they're trading in the stock exchange. Has he turned that into a pile of cash? I understand no. When they increase in value, is that money that's come into his account? No, it's a thing that has perceived value. So whilst if I started with the example of Elon Musk, you go, oh yeah, but he's a billionaire. I don't really care about that. But again, there really is fundamentally there is no difference between that example of a company created by a person, and a drawing created by a child. They're just objects with wealth, with value that is attributed to them by other people, and they're with either the wealth tax or the unrealized gains tax. These are the issues that will absolutely arise in that situation. So anyway, hope that gives you something to think about. Hope that was made it concrete and not too esoteric for everyone. That's it. So again, thanks for the time. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless, and we'll speak to you again.